to sale to ensure that all the cannabis products are accounted for and that they stay within the medicinal license. This is required by the state and is also required by the city. In regards to the security plan, they are required to have a security station that will be manned 24 hours a day and also include a 24-hour on-site security guard. And all the employees would have to wear identification badges. And this security plan includes a video surveillance camera that has to have 24-hour live feed access to the city's police department. The police department is also reviewing the security plan prior to operations. In regards to cash handling, all cash has to be stored in vaults. And for any transactions over $5,000 would have to be licensed through a cash couriers company that's licensed and bonded, so that there's no cash in excess of $200 at the site. In regards to cannabis waste disposal, the city and the state requires that all waste be rendered unrecognizable. So all the cannabis waste would be incinerated with soil and then placed in separate cannabis secured trash disposal containers. And the waste management that would be collecting the cannabis waste has to be a state licensed cannabis waste facility operator as well. So they will be providing this information to the city to ensure that they are licensed with or contracted with a licensed waste hauler. In terms of labor employment, the first group will employ approximately 69 employees in 2 shifts, and the second group will have 78 employees into 2 shifts. They will be entering into a labor peace agreement per the city's requirements. All employees will have to go through a background check through the city's police department, and they have to be 21 years or older and have to wear employee identification badges. And this work permit is renewable every year, so they would have to go through a background check annually. In regards to the air quality plan, the city requires that all odors be kept and remained inside the building. So this is done by using different techniques such as carbon air filters and airtight seals and negative air pressure to ensure that no cannabis odor is emitted from the structures. In regards to the community relations, each operator is required to provide contact information to all property owners of businesses and residents within 150 feet. They also have to provide this information to the city, and there is a quarterly meeting that is required with the community relations officer and the city to ensure that any issues that arise are addressed. In terms of the development agreement is the same for both for both operators. It is a term of 10 years with a maximum of 2 10-year extensions. The quarterly benefit fees that will be collected would be $8 per square foot of the canopy space, 1.5% of the gross receipts for manufacturing, and 1% for the gross receipts for the distribution portion. There is also an additional annual community benefits that will be contributed to the city, and this is of $175,000 each year per operator. And this would go to different activities in the city, which will be discussed with the city council at a later date once we get these funds in. In addition, the applicant will be contributing to city's different events, including food drives, education scholarships, donations to social programs, and also to the city's open space areas. They are required to enter into a labor peace agreement, which will pay for living wages up to 150%. They will have to provide quarterly reports of the gross receipts of the products that are sold. And also the development agreement has to go through an annual review to the city to ensure that they're in compliance with the approvals. In terms of the general plan consistency, the site is located within the city's northwest industrial area, which does call for manufacturing and distribution uses. So this area serves as an economic engine for the city, and it does comply with the city's land use goals to provide for adaptive reuse. And this is to clean up any of the deteriorating industrial uses within the city. As mentioned, the buildings will be upgraded to be energy and sustainable, and also provide for additional landscaping that does not exist currently. In regards to the zoning code, they are in compliance with the zoning code, as a conditional use permit is required. The code also requires that all the facilities are at least 800 feet from any private or public school, daycare centers, or youth centers. And then I have a map. This is a buffer area of the project site in proximity to the schools around. So Gidley Elementary School is on the east side of Baldwin and is approximately half a mile from the project site. Shropshire Elementary School, which is below the railroad tracks, is approximately 0.45 miles from the project site. Then there's La Rosa Elementary School that is north of Lower Azusa Road in Temple City, and that is 0.86 miles from the site. And then there's Encinita Elementary School and Rosemead High School to the west of the project site, and that is approximately 0.76 miles from the project site. The applicants did undergo a thorough review from the city's third-party reviewer, HDL. They ranked them in regards to location and neighborhood compatibility, their business plan, the qualifications of the owners, the community benefits provided, the safety and security plan, the air quality plan, labor and employment plan, and conservation and sustainability. And they did score in the 80s, which were among the top scores out of all the applicants that were interviewed and reviewed. The applicants were also reviewed internally by city staff as well as the LA County Fire Department. The state will require different permits for the facilities. They would also have to undergo permits from the LA County Fire Department and the LA County Health Department prior to operating. And also once they go through this process, then the city manager would issue the actual cannabis business permit, which is valid only for 1 year. So they do have to go through annual review and redo their annual background checks of all employees as well. The Planning Commission did recommend approval of this project to the City Council at their January 29th meeting. They did have some revisions to some of the mitigation measures. The first one is to mitigation measure number 3, and this is revised to require that all lighting that is not used for cultivation utilize LED light fixtures for energy conservation, and also to use either solar panels or renewable energy or clean resources in order to meet the city's sustainability goals. Also added conditions of approval to work with staff to provide additional parking stalls on site, which the applicant stated that they are able to do, and also to add electrical vehicle charging stations and break rooms for employees, and to designate separate areas for the cannabis waste and the non-cannabis waste. The notice of availability for the mitigated negative declaration was made available to the public for comment between January 8th and January 28th. And the public hearing notice was noticed to the 500-foot radius. Comments received are from the South Coast Air Quality Management District, and they just wanted to ensure that the building to be demolished would comply with their asbestos requirements. The City of Rosemead and the City of Temple City also submitted letters in regards to public services, traffic analysis, hazardous waste materials, solid waste impacts, and cumulative impacts. And we'll go through these responses with our environmental consultant. We did also receive a letter from an Arcadia resident that that raise the same issues as well as social impacts as well. The LA County Fire Department did submit a comment letter. Their comment letter just wanted to clarify that the fire station in 166 staffing. So that was clarified in the response to comments that is provided to the council. And also to ensure that once the project comes in for a building plan check, that they comply with all the fire requirements. And lastly, to have the applicant contact the LA Regional Water Quality Board for any site cleanup, which is already analyzed and will be included as a mitigation measure for the project. In regards to property values, this has come up a lot in public comments, and staff did do some research and found an article that from the University of Mississippi in regards to housing values and property values in relation to legalization of marijuana. And this is from data from Colorado. The study did show that on average, the legalization of retail marijuana in Colorado did increase the housing values by approximately 6%, or $15,600 per property. And that in the immediate area, there was a jump of up to 3% within a quarter mile after the adoption of the ordinance. And the largest jump in property increase were amongst properties in the low and middle price tiers, which is similar to the housing costs in the city of Monte. And this provides convincing causal evidence that legalizing retail marijuana generates net benefits as measured through the housing market. And although the city does not allow for retail cannabis, this is the information that staff was able to find. In regards to public safety, I did want to address the cities of Temple City and Rosemead did state that one of their concerns would be an increase for calls of service for LA Fire and the police department. As mentioned, the LA County Fire Department did review the M&D and did not have any concerns regarding the calls for service. And then in terms of police service, I'd like to have Police Chief address those issues.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is David Reynoso. I'm the Chief of Police, and I'll go over some public safety questions, maybe concerns, and hopefully I'll be able to answer those questions brought up by members of the public. Our police department is a full-service police department. We're the 10th largest police department in LA County. And just for reference, there are 44 police departments in Los Angeles County. We have very specialized units, including a SWAT team, gang and narcotics suppression units, detective bureau, and a homeless outreach unit. We also have our own communication or 911 center. We don't count another police department or other jurisdiction for a communication center. And cannabis enforcement is not new to our police department. In 2018, we confiscated over 11,000 marijuana plants in illegal cultivation operations here in our city, and including other operations where cannabis-related items were also being manufactured. We have trained and designated staff to respond to all public safety concerns. And like I mentioned earlier, we do have a narcotics bureau that's very active in our city, and I have to say they've developed an expertise when dealing with illegal cultivation operations, so much that they have gone to other cities to help train them on eradicating illegal cultivation operations. We created a sergeant position whose primary function is to coordinate security and public safety planning and local regulatory enforcement with all city departments. The enforcement or regulating this business will not be the sole job of the police department, but rather it's a whole city effort. As far as the security plan, there will be a 24-hour live feed video surveillance and active monitoring by the Monte Police Department. I have never seen another business as regulated as this one when it comes to a video surveillance system. Not even banks offer this capability where the police department can access the live video feed of these businesses. They will have a professionally monitored alarm system. State of California Department of Consumer Affairs licensed on-site private security will be utilized at all these locations. As mentioned before, there will be employee backgrounds, a procedure for the conduct of cash business transactions on the site, and from what I understand, there will be very little or very few cash transactions at these locations. There will be permanent fencing, elements for protection of the building on the site from vehicle intrusion. And what I think what's really important is that as this business changes, as we see the need for more security, then we'll go back and have them enforce or plan for better security of the location. One thing I have done, I've spoken with the captain from the Temple City Sheriff Station, which offers police services for the cities of Rosemead and Temple City, and he did not have any specific safety concerns at this time regarding these locations. Our police department does contract with, and we're part of the Los Angeles County Mutual Aid Program, meaning that in case we do have an emergency here, other jurisdictions would assist us, just like we assist other jurisdictions for their emergencies. And I can tell you in the last, I think about 10 months, we requested the assistance of outside police agencies one time, and that was for a traffic-related incident. Our police department stands committed to ensuring this industry complies with all safety-related regulations to ensure that safety of all Alani and surrounding community residents is maintained. So as a police department, of course, we care about our city, our community, but also we do look at what's going on in neighboring communities, just like other police departments pay attention to what's going on in our city. And most recently, last month, I had a long conversation with Chief Dale Laundrie. He's the chief of Desert Hot Springs, and I have personally met with him on 3 other occasions. And our talk was about safety and the cannabis industry in their city. Their city currently has 9 cultivation and manufacturing cannabis locations in their city. He told me for the last 3 years, they've had a total of 2 calls for service in their city. As you can see, one of the calls was for a terminated employee causing a disturbance, and the other one was for trespassers that were detained by the on-site security. And that's the end of my portion.
And then we have Mark Blodgett, the city's environmental consultant, which will go over the environmental concerns.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I will go through my presentation as briefly as I can, since there's a lot of overlap from the previous presenter. Before I begin, I'd like to point out that we looked at this project very thoroughly. It's a new type of land use, and for that reason, we initiated the preparation of what we call an initial study to determine the nature and extent of the environmental document that would be needed for this particular application. And it was determined that a mitigated negative declaration would fulfill the city's requirements. Now, as part of this study, there are a number of key guiding principles that are very important to recognize. First, the project will involve a new conditionally permitted land use where a CUP is required. Other than that, the proposed project would typically be exempt from CEQA. It's the CUP, conditional use permit requirement, that brings us here tonight as part of this environmental review discussion. The proposed use will not involve any retail sales. This is a medicinal cannabis facility. The product will be distributed to other licensed locations. There will be no public individuals that will be permitted on site. There'll be no public transactions that will occur within the property. The proposed use will occupy 6 of the 7 buildings that are presently on the property. No new building construction will take place. These 6 existing buildings will be significantly upgraded to accommodate the proposed use, and the smaller 7th building will be demolished. And finally, the interior tenant improvements will certainly be substantial. They will save energy, they will improve a lot of utility consumptions, there'll be new landscaping involved, and overall the site's appearance will be improved. Now, again, I'm not going to repeat what's already been said. It is a medicinal cannabis-only facility. No retail sales will occur on site. This is very important when you consider traffic and the other demand-driven impacts. The project will include the cultivation, manufacturing, and distribution of the medical cannabis, but again, no retail sales to the outside public will be permitted. And then finally, as I stated previously, the existing buildings on site that are vacant, unused, obsolete, will be upgraded, modernized, and retrofitted to accommodate the proposed business. Now, the initial study that was prepared looked at a wide array of issue areas, and these are all in the slide. The major issues that have emerged as part of this process included